For several months, we've been talking about the changes in the Bureau of Prisons and how it's going to influence the lives of hundreds of thousands of people, really millions of people. And the reason that I say these changes are going to influence millions of people's lives, because for every person who's serving a term in prison, they always are going to have 3, 4, 5, 20 people that really care about them and that they care about. And all of those people get influenced by what changes are happening in the Bureau of Prisons. Well, one of the lessons that I learned while going through prison for 26 years is, just like anything else, change is very gradual and slow, and then it's very fast. And what we're seeing now is a very fast change where the Attorney General has appointed a new director of the Bureau of Prisons and a new deputy director of the Bureau of Prisons. The big change is that the deputy director of the Bureau of Prisons once served time in federal prison, and so he really understands the complexities of what goes on inside of that environment, and I believe that he would also know what changes could we make to make things better. But with the leadership at the very top of the Bureau of Prisons mandating change, we are seeing things happen at a much faster pace than we've ever seen, well, in the past 40 years. And that's certainly in the past 40 years. That's something I know about because I went into the prison system in 1987 when we had a different type of Bureau of Prisons, a different sentencing scheme and different good time measurements than we have today. Today, there are a lot of changes that have happened over the past, well, it started in the first term of President Trump's White House with the First Step Act, but now we're getting fast, rapid implementation. And I'm going to read a memo. This was just created on June the 17th. And let's just read it. It's on the Bureau of Prisons website. If you go to the Bureau of Prisons website and you look at their press releases, you will see this one from June 17th, which is just a couple of days ago. So let's just read it. The Bureau of Prisons issues a directive to fully implement the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act. Well, that's a big deal because President Trump, the first term, signed that law in 2018, but it took a long time to roll out. Now, that was part by design and part by factors outside of our control and part by just the slow-moving bureaucracy, okay? When it was initially drafted and signed into law, the law itself said it was going to take a year for the Bureau of Prisons to put together the classification system that would measure pattern scores, which is the acronym that stands for whether a person is a high or a low risk of recidivism, because Congress mandated those changes. So it took a year for them to put that program together. It didn't exist before. And then there had to be training for staff. And then COVID came, which slowed things down. So it's been a very slow, gradual rollout. But now we're seeing things happen very fast. So this is to fully implement the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act. And basically what that means is there's going to be more of a movement to send people who qualify to home confinement at the soonest possible time. So let's continue reading the memorandum. In order to restore integrity and fiscal responsibility to the federal prison system, the Bureau of Prisons today issued a policy memorandum to staff directing the robust and comprehensive implementation of both the First Step Act of 2018 and the Second Chance Act of 2008, two bipartisan cornerstones of modern criminal justice reform. Now, again, these are the biggest pieces of prison reform legislation since 1987, when they implemented the 1984 Comprehensive Crime Control Bill, which did away with parole and really changed the entire good time structure. So let's continue. This is the dawn of a new era, one in which the Bureau of Prisons will realize the full potential of the First Step Act and the Second Chance Act, said BOP Director William K. Marshall III. So here he is drawing a line in the sand. He is being very clear. We are going to do this, and you can hold me accountable for doing that. Let's continue. The comprehensive policy outlined today will eliminate barriers to maximize the availability of home confinement to those who qualify for community release under the First Step Act and Second Chance Act. So there are some very clear indications here. What does that mean? Those who qualify. Well, the First Step Act goes to anybody who is in federal prison. Some people can get earned time credits. Some people cannot, based on their backstory. But if, based on the words in this memorandum and the law itself, the Bureau of Prisons has enormous discretion on who it sends to home confinement. So this is a very big change that did not exist before. So let's continue. This change in policy will fully operationalize the laws intended by Congress and ensure a smoother transition for many individuals to return to productive lives after incarceration. Okay? Very big deal, because the focus now is making people successful upon release. And we are big believers in that in our nonprofit. We believe in this concept of earning freedom. The harder a person works, the more that person should be able to advance or accelerate a pathway to success. This program didn't exist when I served my sentence, and I was in there for 26 years because it didn't exist. It is the reason behind all of our work, including earning freedom, conquering a 45-year prison term, which we have used as an advocacy tool, arguing on why we need these kinds of reforms that are now going to become much faster into implementation. And let's continue reading. The new policy announced today will have immediate and meaningful benefits. It will avoid wasting millions of taxpayer dollars on unnecessary incarceration. I will say that in my own case, I used to argue that I was as ready to be released from prison after 8 years as I ever would have been. By the time I went into prison when I was 23, after 8 years, I was 30, in my very early 30s. I had a bachelor's degree, a master's degree. I would have been young enough to build a career and build a life. But instead, I had to serve another 18 years in prison because there was no mechanism. So it was a total waste of taxpayer resources, unless you are measuring results by saying, we want to incarcerate more people than any other nation on the planet, and we want them to serve more time, and we want to have failure upon release and intergenerational cycles of poverty. We got to have change. So this is this change that avoids wasting millions of taxpayer dollars and human lives, by the way. Reduce strain on prison bed space and staffing, right? That's a big problem in the Bureau of Prisons. They haven't been able to get enough staff to devote their careers to working in prisons, and by letting people out, they can close a lot of prisons, hopefully all minimum security camps, and hopefully introduce concepts such as work release programs. You know, that even if a person has a crime that does not qualify him for earned time credits, that doesn't mean that person doesn't qualify to go to a program like halfway houses or home confinement if they have demonstrated they've worked hard enough to do it. Now, bullet point 3, eliminate prolonged and unnecessary burdens on inmates and their families, particularly those with stable home environments and strong community ties, right? Huge deal. That implies people have the power to influence their future, which is really what we've been advocating for since the very beginning of our nonprofit. And I really want to thank all the people that support us to get this message out. So the new directive ensures that FSA earned time credits and SCA, that Second Chance Act eligibility, will be treated as cumulative and stackable. Well, that's in the law itself. The First Step Act law itself says any of the benefits or rewards or earned time credits that are available in this law should be in addition to anything else, because the mission is to prepare people for success, for law-abiding, contributing lives. So it allows qualified individuals to serve meaningful portions of their sentence in home confinement when appropriate. Well, when is it appropriate? It's appropriate when the person has demonstrated that they have earned freedom. And if you want to learn how to do that, spend more time on our website at prisonprofessors.org. Everything is free. Learn how to prepare yourself for success. Conditional placement dates based on projected credit accrual and statutory timelines will drive timely referrals, not bureaucratic inertia. You know, that's the terrible thing about a bureaucracy. These aren't my words. Max Weber, a famous social scientist from Germany, wrote about bureaucracy and said really the mission of a bureaucracy is to perpetuate itself and to keep it growing, not focused on the result that we really want to get. And what do we want to get? Improved society. So this is awesome that they're talking about doing away with the damage of a massive bureaucracy. So I really like that, and so let's just continue reading here. FSA earned time credits, and I already read that. Conditional placements, yes, I read that. not past employment, conditional places based on credit, actual and statutory timelines that drive timely referrals, not bureaucratic inertia. That's what I read before. Stable housing and community reintegration readiness, not past employment, will guide decisions, right? That's a big thing that we frequently talk about on prison professors, is that your life is about the future. The Bureau of Prisons and all of these agencies are about iterative progress. It's not about what you did in the past. You may have had a great career before, but what have you done since the judge said, I hereby sentence you to the custody of the Attorney General? The more you can memorialize and document that pathway, the better you are going to be positioned for a better outcome. Stable housing and community reintegration readiness, not past employment, will guide. Okay, great. RRC bed capacity limitations will not be a barrier to home confinement when an individual is statutorily eligible and appropriate for such placement. Director Marshall continued, this action marks a bold shift from years of inaction toward policy rooted in public safety, fiscal responsibility, and second chances. By empowering the agency to release more people who are ready to return to society, we are not only saving taxpayers' dollars, we are, oh God, I ruined that. So we strengthen families, ease overcrowding, and build safer communities, right? So instead of focusing on the process of locking people in prison, we're going to focus on the result. Building safer communities and helping more people emerge with their dignity intact and opportunities to prosper. If you want to learn what steps you can take, use our website. Just visit prisonprofessors.org, because I always make 3 promises. 1, never going to lie to you. 2, I'm never going to ask you to do something I didn't do. And 3, never going to charge you a penny. Everything on prisonprofessors.org is free. Somebody has to do the work, and nobody should be working harder than you to prepare for the best possible outcome. My name is Michael Santos. I'm the founder of Prison Professors. I served 26 years in prison, and I believe in you. So if you believe in this message, please pass it along and share it on social media. Become a member of our community, subscribe to us, and just start working towards yourself. Be the change you want to see, and be cool.